Okay, thank you guys for coming on. This is our first animal remedies class of a series of 8, and it's also our third quarter of the deep dive homeopathy class, which I had planned as a 2-year course. Um, and we started with the minerals, we started, then did the nosodes, and now we're going to do animals, and then maybe next fall we will be doing plants. So let's see how this all goes. A little history. There's a couple of new people, so I just want to give a short history that this group is started by moms. I am not a classical homeopath. I have to say that. What you're going to learn from me is out of the box homeopathy. My approach to helping heal kids, primarily children, because that's where my compassion lies, was knowing how powerful homeopathy was. I have a strong belief. I know and have seen the miracles that homeopathy can bring about, but it was using homeopathy in its potential and breaking some of the boxes and some of the rules so that we can help some of the more challenging cases out there. And it's the challenging cases that would come to me. And maybe because I just like the challenge, but also because people had tried everything else and then finally they're kind of ready for homeopathy, right? And so the style of homeopathy that I'm teaching is out of the box, intuitive, very connecting, very feminine. It's a very classical homeopathy, comes from this German historical male, kind of a lot of female homeopaths, but a rules oriented place. And despite the fact that I'm part German, I'm not very rules oriented. So some of that will come through for better or for worse. The rules and the laws of homeopathy are important, and I will emphasize that as well. But there's an expansiveness that we can step into if we step into our heart, our imagination, and our intuition, and in applying homeopathic remedies. So that's a little bit of a history on this group. I taught another group of women, about 20 group of women, 5-6 years ago, through 2-3 years, and some of them are practicing now, and they're able to provide homeopathy for this subset of kids. When I was practicing, I got super busy. I was working with Pierre Fontaine, and we were super busy, and I started doing my own thing, and I didn't really have people to refer to if I couldn't see them. I want to be able to refer to you guys, or people who have had the experience of understanding what kids are going through. Because a classical homeopath who hasn't been in the home of an autistic child struggles more with understanding all these layers. If a lot of the moms in this group understand the biomedical and the medical approach to these kids, and they understand that if a kid is giggling, it's not because they need like a silly remedy like dolphin necessarily. It could simply mean that they need a candida detox, right? So it's understanding a lot of those subtleties which you as moms already are understanding. You already get. You can practice as lay homeopaths in the United States. The women who trained with me are practicing based on basic training with me and some other courses out there, and the incredible training you have as a mother. Okay, nothing prepares you like a mom when you're dealing with acutes and your kids. I don't think I could have taught an acutes homeopathy course until I had Eva, right? I still don't think I can teach acutes homeopathy. I think that Stephanie Newton, who does tons of acutes with her 2 boys, is better at teaching that because she dealt with it, right? So that's that. This is my second round of teaching these classes. My hope is to really create people out there who understand homeopathy, understand the complexity of complex kids. And when I say complex kids, that's my now term for autism, the whole spectrum, neuroimmune kids, kids who, you know, on a immunological level are experiencing things not through mucus and sore throats, but through neurological and personality and behavioral issues coming up. So I want people who can help these complex kids, and there's so much of this coming down the line, and I know you guys know that. Sue, who's up here, she sent me a little link yesterday on an article, and it was like, parents concerned about Tamiflu, and then it was like, teenager commit suicide after getting the flu and taking Tamiflu. Parents think it was the Tamiflu. Doctors say, no way. How's that possible? It's a simple, easy treatment. We have a medical system that doesn't understand suppression. It doesn't understand the links between suppressing an illness and giving something that they think is just for a physiologic thing like flu, and that can go deeper in the body and cause problems on a behavioral level. How much is this prevalent now? Our society is crumbling. So I don't want to get too much on a pedestal, on a soapbox with that and getting too caustic of me. So we just did, some of the people in our group did this 30-day self-love challenge this past January, okay? I want to have this open to you guys again because it was really nice. So this 30-day self-love challenge was a simple process where we take our cell phone, press the record button, and say, this is day 1 of the self-love challenge. I love you, Angie. Or Sue says, I love you, Sue. And you just feel whatever comes up. Okay, and then we do some subtle things like meditation or talking to our mother. But it's nice. It's actually really, it builds us up, and it's based on the fact that our bodies are water, and when we speak to our bodies, which are water, and we speak to it with love, we become that love, which is the basis of kind of homeopathy too. So part of this 30-day self-love challenge was taking a media fast, going off all media, and which I did, and was nice, gave a break, you know, in life, and I highly suggest it to you guys, or maybe we can do it as a group. When I came off the 30-day, or sorry, the 1-week media fast, it was this past week where Trump has been acquitted, coronavirus. I go on to CNN.com just because I know there's a lot going on, and I'm like, dear God, what is happening out in the world? It's and feeling really angry and defeated and hopeless and disgusted. And how do you guys feel when you watch the news? Or when your country is burning down, or when there's mass extinction happening to koala bears, or there's like countries being flooded, like, you know, or when you're watching this coronavirus and you're watching videos of people walking around with plastic bottles on their head, you know, I mean, it's distressing. Okay, so it's like our world is in survival mode right now, and that's a place we can go to with the animal remedies. But my hope with this course also is to be a container for you guys to connect with each other in community as a place of hope, inspiration. There's something I can do about at least improving my life and the people around me, and for it to be positive. Okay, so this is my media outlet to you as something really fun and worthwhile in your week, and not a to-do thing. So, and the animals are fun. So Any comments or questions? So, you know, I find homeopathy incredibly inspiring. Do you guys still feel that? Because homeopathy tests your faith. You'll see cases where you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I want to share those cases with you. And then a lot of cases, and a lot of your cases, or the majority of them, are bit by bit by bit, chunk by chunk, and your faith builds slowly, slowly, slowly. Your faith goes up a notch, and you look back and you're like, okay, I'm better than I was last year, that's for sure. Okay. I have seen homeopathy, just remedies, cancer disappear, people get out of wheelchairs, autism diagnosis done, pandas diagnosis done, kids with what they say is genetic immunodeficiency, CVID, getting IVIG once a month, done. The IVIG is done, the blood levels are normalized, neutropenia is all gone. It's possible. So believe in it. It tests your belief. Believe in yourself too. So I treated a bunch of adults about a year ago who had Lyme's disease and were just bedbound. And I'd see them in their appointments and they'd be like this because they couldn't sit up, you know, or they'd be like this because they couldn't sit up and they're shaking. And now they're pregnant, starting a band, traveling. Okay, so it's amazing what homeopathy can do. It takes some faith. For me, the faith piece is the intuition piece. And this is where I want to make homeopathy easy, in the flow, like not this like mental challenge, but a heartfelt, body-centered, this feels cool, this feels right, let's go with this. I'm not worried about it. My heart connects to the heart of my client, and this is what they're telling me, so I'm gonna go with it. Okay. Yes, in the flow. Any other question? Anything else? All right. So I emailed you guys. I wanted to start this class, just introducing you to the animals. And I thought this morning I should really just talk about a case to just show you the complexity of a case. And this is the case that I'm going to show you. I emailed out. You guys can read through it. This was the beginning of my practice, was this case. I think it was 1 or 2 years into my practice, where my training as a homeopath was classical. Okay, classical meaning you had 60 remedies that you knew really well. And everything outside of that was like, nah, that's nothing, you know? And so then you get a case and you're like, could this case need something outside of my classical group of remedies that I think? You know, and so some of these cases that I had at the beginning of my practice, they tested my faith. They opened my mind to what is possible. So in this case, the whole family needed reptile remedies, but the little girl, I gave the remedy T-Rex to, which is an extinct animal, okay? It's like not even a current animal. Like, how is this possible? Yet it ends up being a really great remedy for her. Okay, so I want you guys to like listen to this case and open your mind to the overall themes of a possible reptile and a dinosaur coming through in the words of this mom and her experience. Okay, so let me share it with you. Okay. All right, scroll back up. Okay. So this was a mom of 3 kids. Her first child was seeing Pierre, and I was seeing the second two. The first child she had me see was her youngest. His name's Harry. Um, he was 3 years old, had messed up digestive system. First thing she says is that he complains of a tummy ache after drinking cold drinks. Okay, so cold drinks, tummy ache, yet he asks for ice cubes in his drink. In homeopathy, this type of a symptom where you're like, that's interesting. So cold drinks, tummy ache, asks for ice cubes, that's kind of like a unique, strange, rare, and peculiar already. That will differentiate a possible remedy choice for him, okay? Or it could be a keynote of a remedy. He's a male version of a drama queen. So imagine a 3-year-old acting like a big man, pretending to be a dinosaur, roaring at people, but also pretends to be a cat, cow, or a horse. Okay, so he's pretending to be a dinosaur. I'm not thinking of dinosaur remedy at this point. I could give him another animal. Okay, very contrarian. So, do you want this? No, I don't. And then, do you want this drink? No, I don't. Then he'll drink it. Okay, this contrariness and the stubbornness eventually in the case improves with the strep remedy. Okay, and that's something we talked about last quarter, and we've visited strep. You guys have visited strep. His nickname is the hobgoblin. So in these cases, in these animal cases, sometimes things will come up and you're like, that's so funny. Like, that's kind of cute and unique. So he's a hobgoblin. And then his mom's like, he's a little pigeon chested and he makes a stiff motion and he totters back and forth. And so you're watching this. And so this is the gestalt, and this is what I want to talk about when you're trying to get and understand an animal remedy. You want to see the whole picture and the movement of that kid. So this kid had a certain kind of movement. He gets very jealous. He's like a green-eyed monster. These little words parents use. This was a mom who was very articulate. Okay, she came from Europe and she had a way of talking that was awesome. He'll say, "You're a hobgoblin. You're a poo-poo head." We'll see more of this in the case. So pregnancy is an amazing time to understand the essence of an animal remedy, because a woman is more in her animal self when she's pregnant almost than any other time, and delivery too, because delivery is a point in time where it's life or death for us, right? It's like, it's survival, like we can die. And so what is it that's happening around that time that could clue you into a kind of the sense of an animal remedy? So this mother was angry, okay? She felt aggravated inside. F off. I felt strength coursing through my veins. She was just like, "Urgh." I felt like I had two things going on in my head. So we're not talking fully about the reptiles yet, but this is starting to get me thinking, this is a reptile for sure. The degree of anger, and when people talk about veins and blood, it often is very reptilian. It isn't always, but like there's an infection in my blood. People start talking about blood, fear of blood or any kind of, that's often reptile. Okay, so frustration, I can't control it. Her temperature control was haywire, was going up and down and up and down. Think of it, a cold-blooded reptile with their temperature control going up and down, up and down. Her blood pressure up and down, up and down. Okay? She said no swelling while pregnant. I think I must have asked. I was like, geez, this is sounding like lachesis. Were you like swelling? Was this apis, which is the bumblebee? No swelling. This is so funny because sometimes parents will tell you things about their kid and you're like, kind of animal is this? So he would say, I'm a baby, eek, 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 I'm a baby, in a really squeaky voice, you know? And there's a part of it, so there's a part of this kid's like, I'm a baby, or I'm a little boy. Like, he almost needed to tell himself what he was. I'm not an animal, I'm a little boy, you know? And I've seen this with my daughter. We're humans, right? This is what it means to be a human. I don't know if you guys have seen your kids talk about what it means to be a human, but kids, like, they're often like obsessed with animals, and they're talking about, they're understanding the differences. And this is what's so cool, is like, through the eyes of homeopathy, we are the animal kingdom. Like, we learn to be human, but there's a part of us that is like every animal out there, you know. I have these kind of philosophical questions, you know. It's like, are we just the reincarnation of various types of animals? And then this, you know, I was a cat and now I'm a human, and now and then I'm going to go and become something else. It's hard to say, but for sure, you just, the intelligence of that, that animal, it has a resonance uniquely in all of us. Okay, so this kid loved to chug water, even though it gave him tummy aches. So I gave Elaps. I was like, for sure reptile, you know, for sure reptile. And we'll get into the reptiles. I chose a reptile that had the unique attribute of the cold drinks aggravate, and that's a keynote of Elaps, coral snake. So Elaps is coral snake. It's a snake with that specific, when they drink water, is what Paul Hersey told me when he taught it, is like they feel the cold going all down the alimentary canal, and it just, the cold just sits in there, you know. They feel that cold drink still in the belly. You can imagine that with a snake, right? You can imagine a snake, this cold-blooded animal, you know, just swallowing something whole, and it just goes and it just sits in there, you know, and then it festers. A lot of snake remedies, I should get to this later, their food can fester, and pyrogenium, which is rotten meat pus nosode, is often a good remedy when for reptile people. This kind of putrefaction happening in their gut. Anyways, he got Elaps, his tummy got better. Temperament was up and down. The remedy calms him down. He put on weight. Funny enough, his teeth improved. They remineralized because his digestion improved. His fingernails were not as thin as they were before. That's kind of amazing. It's, you know, you see this in a case, and I'm like, my own daughter has like really thin fingernails, and I'm like, why can't I get this for my own daughter? See, somebody asked a question. What did the coloring mean in relation to his remedy? Like, he liked to color a lot? I don't know. I mean, you could kind of read through it. His father's a professional artist. His aunt's a drama teacher. His grandfather's a professional artist. Oh, he liked coloring. We'll color the whole page. Yeah, you know, one thing I've noticed with reptile remedies is they can have a flair. They can have drama, and they're very creative. The reptile energy is very associated with our lower chakras and our sexuality. And so that's something I've seen, but that I've seen dog remedy, you know, be really into coloring. The coloring itself isn't specific to that remedy. And it's challenging. You're like, wait, what's the keynote? So he drinks cold water and it makes him feel cold and have a tummy ache. Why do I pay attention to that versus the fact that he likes to color a whole page? That's the challenging thing of homeopathy. We can get really caught up in the details. And so we have to see the forest for the tree, from the trees, right? What was the main reason I thought Elaps? The drink. Yeah, so even at this point, I wasn't muscle testing. So it was early enough in my practice where I wasn't muscle testing remedies either. I gave it because I remembered that keynote on the drink, and I saw that as something that was particularly, like, his digestion was particularly, it was the main problem for him. And elapse is it's like, it's one of the reptile remedies that has a lot of digestive symptoms associated with it. So as a large kind of forest, on a forest level, I saw reptile. And then to differentiate, I saw like the gut as the main thing. And then I chose elapse. Okay, but you know, there could be other, there are other like remedies that are like extremely cold. The heloderma, the Gila monster, is a very, very cold, icy cold remedy. So does that, I hope that helps. So, okay. You can kind of get a sense of how the mom was dosing this. 200C, he interacted with children better. He wasn't frightening the other children. So all of her kids would just frighten the other kids. So you kind of see the essence of the bully is really kind of like, it's like a little dinosaur, you know, a little dinosaur that's been captured in a human body bullying the other kids, and they're just a dinosaur, you know. But he got calmer, and it was good. And we went up to elapse 1M. Okay, so this was slightly more complicated, and I want you to kind of see the pregnancy in this case was so interesting. So this was the case. They thought she was autistic. Her speech impairment was impaired. Maybe it was pandas. You know, in these cases, it's a spectrum, right? It's like it doesn't really matter what the diagnosis is. The child is doing things in an unusual way compared to other kids. Okay, echolalia, was having trouble socializing, a lot of anxiety. So she would tease other kids and call other kids names to the point that they would cry. Okay, that's kind of sad. You know, you could say, oh, well, lycopodium. Well, I could have given lycopodium. That's a bullying remedy for sure. She thinks she's a princess. She thinks she's wonderful. She actually didn't have low self-confidence. She was quite happy, you know, I'm a princess and I believe it. She never talked about herself in the negative sense. Yeah, she was very interested in hierarchy. That's an animal thing. Like, daddy's here, mommy's here, I'm here. Like, what's the hierarchy? Any of the animals will be like that. Animals are in, you know, as humans, we want to be friendly and include everybody and PC. And the animal kingdom is all like, I eat you and he eats me, right? It's all about predator and prey, and everyone's a predator and everyone's prey, and this person's above this person. I'm in a pack, that's the leader, right? And so as humans, we try to kind of neutralize that, but our core nature is hierarchical, right? At least our animal nature comes from that place. So she was obsessive about T-Rex, about Tyrannosaurus Rex. She was convinced she was an animal. She would tell her teacher not to tread on her tail, okay? She would find a sock, stuff it, stick it behind her, and walk around with her arms up. She loved dinosaurs. She knew all their names. Her favorite animal at the time was a giraffe. I could give giraffe, okay, but I didn't because I'm looking at the overall reptile remedy here. She was fascinated with death. Killers in the street. Are there killers in the street? There's killers in dungeons, okay? So what was really fearing that someone will attack her? Absolutely petrified of like injury though, okay? Her socializing was very one-sided. She would just kind of make statements or talk about animals, so she wasn't good at the back and forth. So what kind of blew my mind in this case when I was taking the case is the mom explaining her pregnancy, this pregnancy to me. And this was a pregnancy where it's about survival. And if you listen to her, you think, I feel like I'm listening to something trying to hatch an egg. She wasn't like experiencing this kind of comfortable pregnancy. So she had low amniotic fluid. There weren't great odds. It was an issue of survival. So that survival word, and we'll talk about this, is key for animal remedies, okay? It's like the animals, what is their main thing? Survival, okay? So it was unusual for children at 21 weeks to have that low a level of amniotic fluid and survive. I was in the biggest black hole of my life. I became emotionally disconnected. She didn't know if she was going to have a child or not have a child, okay? I didn't feel support from my husband. I had to do it on my own. I had to separate my emotions. This is something that the reptiles do. They disconnect from emotions, okay? And it's a fear. There's fear. There's a disconnect from emotion. There's a deep fear, a deep survival fear, okay? So when she was born, she needed almost a complete blood transfusion. Okay, so this child almost died. Again, the blood thing too. When she was born, she didn't even know what her legs were for. She didn't move. She couldn't even put her legs in the air, couldn't roll over. Really unusual infancy. We want to understand these infancy moments. She would shut down and sleep for a couple of days, and then she would get like a milestone. So it was almost like, it was very unusual. The feeling of her pregnancy with low amniotic fluid was that she literally felt herself being attacked from the inside. Like she could feel elbows and jagged things poking at her. She didn't have this cushioning, right? I felt an elbow sticking in my organs. My baby is hurting me. I'm attacked from the inside and I'm desperate for the pregnancy to survive. A disconnect, sharp pain. There's a battle going on inside. So you're like, oh my God, this is intense. I felt anger at the baby. I felt like I was deteriorating around it. That deterioration is destructive. That is what we call syphilitic in homeopathy, right? Destructive. And the reptiles it has a destructive element to it. What's wrong with me? I felt like I had an alien inside me, completely invaded. I had this complete belief that I would split open and my guts would fall out. I was convinced I would split into two. And she says, like, I was like an incubator. It's almost as if the words she's sharing is like she's an egg. And that was what was in my mind. I was like, oh my God, this woman sounds like, I don't know, maybe you guys have another sensation from her speaking these words, but it's like she's an egg hatching. So it was tremendous and horrible. And so many women have very unique pregnancies like this, and it tells you a lot. So go into it, it's such a cool place to understand. She really had a lot of problems as a baby, speech poor, couldn't construct sentences. Okay, still awkward in her body. At the time I see her, she's 6. She lollops around. She gallops around like a horse. Like that's another, you're like, wow, that's so interesting. One of her legs is drunk, and you're like, what is this? How is this child moving like an old drunk man? You're like, this is so interesting. Zoe, that's interesting. You can relate to this pregnancy feeling. This is severe, right? It's pretty intense. So, and Zoe, reptile remedies, maybe there's something there with that, right? It's not necessarily a warm and cozy pregnancy. It feels like an egg is hatching inside of you. I just love that she called kids hobgoblin. A poo-poo head troll. You're a troll, okay? She can't stop doing it. She doesn't understand that she's being mean, okay? she's just a fascinating child. And you know, these kids, you know, like to get a case like this, cases like this, like if you were to get like, they don't have, Asperger's is not an official diagnosis anymore, is that right? It's a useful one though. It's a useful category for these kids with unusual behaviors. And there's so often the Asperger's profile, it fits an animal. And I've seen it in a lot of cases where they're like, oh, my kid has Asperger's because he's got these weird, quirky things happening. And I'm like, it's an animal. His weird, quirky things are an animal. And then you give that animal a remedy, and that unusual socializing goes away. Okay. So we gave T-Rex. The mom gave it every 3 days. When we start giving the remedy, she reaches out. She's more emotional. She wants hugs. She's emotionally responsive. She's more adaptable, not as rigid. Her father says it feels like we have a normal girl in the house who's neurotypical. Yay! Stick with the remedy, right? I think I did LM dosing. She did great with the LM dosing, not attacking her brothers anymore, not as bossy. What I noticed with T-Rex is it's like a calc carb lachesis. It's like a bossy pants, kind of like, it's my way, you know, kind of lachesis. Her coordination improved a lot. She started running normally, normal running rhythm as opposed to a lolloping horse. Eye contact improved. Continue doing, I think she stayed on the remedy for at least a year. Eventually they did the strep nosode, which helped but didn't help. Eventually we moved to lachesis because she had this like pressured speech, this need to talk really intensely. And that loquacity is a part of lachesis, which helped somewhat with it, but she got so much more out of the T-Rex that we just ended up going back to T-Rex. And if you read through these notes, there was just more stuff. We ended up needing to do more clears, more kind of viral clears for echolalia. I'm not going to go through it all. But at the bottom here, these were my, like, you know, at this point in the case, I was like, she needs a strep remedy first, T-Rex, and then some viral, Thuya, MMR clear, DPT clear. So this is so interesting. Her running improved. Glasses with red lenses helped her. Have you guys heard of that? Putting on colored glasses? And I think it's interesting that it's red. Red is the color of first chakra, survival, anger, right? So, and that maybe it altered that part of her that was so in the red. So I thought it was a pretty cool case. Do you guys think it's cool? That was a case, that was maybe, you know, one of a bunch of remedies where you're just, you know, cases where I was just like blown away, you know, blown away that an experience like this existed. Most people would hear these experiences and, like, you know, from a mainstream medical perspective, how would people interpret this? You know, like, this person's crazy, you know, like, you know, there's nothing to hang it on. In homeopathy, we can kind of look at this case and it all fits. You're like, wait, is it possible that a child who's obsessed with an animal could use the remedy of that animal? And at that point in my case taking as a homeopath, I really had to ask myself that, because Paul Herskew didn't say that I could use the remedy T-Rex, you know. I think that there was a proving, and I can't find the information on it, of T-Rex out there. There's another dinosaur too. Yeah, we do have T-Rex. And there's one more dinosaur, I can't remember the name of it. It's even more violent. It's like a very violent. They actually take it from the bone, the fossilized bone, the remedy. So, oh yes, thank you. Myosaurus. And I think it's one of those like smaller, sharper, scarier dinosaurs. I'm not a dinosaur person, but you know how there's kids who are like the dinosaur kids, and there's like something resonant there for them. My daughter, she's a cat. Like like Ryan hates cats. He doesn't talk. He's like Eva is just can't get enough of cats. She's a cat person. I don't give her the cat remedy all the time, but cat was the one remedy it helped me with my allergies. It is an incredible remedy for allergies. So it's true that kids can be obsessed with the animal that they need. At the same time, I have given like animal remedies like rat, and that kid wasn't obsessed with rats, right? It isn't always there. Okay, so why are we learning? I'm just gonna backtrack a bit. Why are we, Sarah? I would love it if you could post or share the proving of some of these dinosaurs because it's really interesting. Why are we studying remedies in these large groups of families? Okay, and so I've already kind of talked about this, and some of you get this, but some of you are new to it. I just want to review it. So understanding groups of remedies according to families is newer. It's contemporary homeopathy, which is weird because you think, wow, that makes so much sense. Actually, there were some old school homeopaths who did this, who grouped them according to categories, but it didn't catch on in homeopathy because Hahnemann was against it. He thought that if homeopathy went that direction, it would cause too much speculation. But homeopathy went this direction, at least right now. This is all the contemporary homeopaths who are well known right now essentially are teaching homeopathy according to families. Is that true, Sarah? I would say like, Sankran and Schulten and Luklein and, are really understanding groups. That said, it's also this kind of renaissance in homeopathy where we're like understanding a group really well, right? And so this couple, the Joshis, I don't know how to say their first name, Bawisha, they actually come to the East Coast every year and teach, and I've seen them teach, and they're fun. And the article that I emailed to you, which differentiated the animal kingdom, was from them. And they say, there's an animal pattern in each of us. Now, I would say, we can have multiple animal patterns. Because I personally have enjoyed taking different animals for different aspects of my life. Oh, wow. At one point, my daughter started walking in a very funny way, and her walk reminded me of how a wading bird moves. I gave her the paper remedy for egret, and specifically, and she stopped walking in that funny way after 2 doses. That's awesome. You already get it. That's so interesting. What about fear of an animal? Yes. So extreme fears of like spiders can often mean that a spider remedy is needed. But I've also seen I've seen kids who need apis, which is the bee, really freak out with buzzing noises, right? So if something goes like they flip out, right? So that can kind of maybe say something about that. I've seen a kid who needed butterfly freak out when she saw something look like a cocoon, when she saw styrofoam packing peanuts. But I've also seen kids who needed the remedy from cow milk freak out from insects too. And I think about that. I'm like, insects are attacking cows all the time. They're just like having to swat them nonstop, right? So, I don't think that kid needed an insect. He needed cow milk, but he had a thing with insects. So it's all in the big picture. My daughter, during an aggravation from high potency candida, was convinced she heard seagulls outside the window. I gave her the remedy from seagulls, and she never mentioned it again. Yeah, I mean, some of it is, it's touching on the subconscious. Okay, it's touching on what is beneath the surface. Like, well, like what's floating in our dark, you know, connection to nature, to the unknown. Um, the Joshis say they feel like everybody could need an animal remedy. I usually give an animal remedy to at some point to all of my cases. Sometimes, you know, I was connecting with a child recently and I was like, wow, when I connected with the child, I was like, she really likes the animals because I keep feeling with her that I need to try different animal remedies out. So, remember though that we're looking at the pattern. Only one pattern will be at the forefront at a time. So it's like we're a movie. And the movie that I'm playing, what picture are you seeing now? Okay, if the picture that I'm showing you in my movie right now is like, I need to crawl around on all fours and like, you know, like drink milk, you know, maybe I'm showing you the movie of a mammal. But if my movie is like, I'm really worried about my accounting and I think I'm going to be losing all of my money pretty soon because the stock markets are falling and I'm running out of time, that's a different movie, right? That's like a fear of money and money loss, and that has a different energy to it. That's more mineral. That could be like arsenicum. Or if the movie was like, the pain of this kidney stone is the most intense. I feel it radiating down my back. And, you know, it's like this sensation that's so intense and everything's focused on this one sensation. Then that could be a plant that's showing itself to you. Okay. So what is showing itself? What image is coming up? We give the remedy to help unfold that. Now, you know, with animal remedies, let's see here. The Joshis may say it better than I do. So the minerals, we talked about minerals. This is the periodic table of minerals, of elements. It's about completion, right? Every element is trying to find a chemical stability. And you know, it's like some of them are more unstable, some of them are extremely stable. Graphite and silica in the middle are maybe too stable. So they're there for people who are like stuck inside of themselves, whereas like natrium dissolves very easily, salt dissolves very easily. They merge into everybody, you know, and they have to maintain their boundary or else they merge. They're too sensitive, right? So elements are about, you know, how complete am I? Where am I at in my level of success, according to Schulten? I could spend, you guys know, like weeks just talking about that. The mineral is very kind of high concept. The plants we haven't talked about, but the plants, think about what a plant does to survive. A plant survives because it's about being sensitive to its environment. It's absorbing light. Its roots are responding to the water. It's at night they shut down. You know, their lives respond to how sensitive they are to their environment, right? And so they're for specific sensations, specific feelings. Plants are medicine too. They're put on this planet, I believe, for our medicine, for our complaints. Animals eat plants for medicine, right? They like, you know, they go and find what they need. Humans do. We all like gather plants for medicine, right? And so there's always a medicine out there for something specific, migraines or sharp eye pains or things like that. Animals is a combination of plants and minerals and more. They're more evolved. It's a larger picture, what I just call behavior. It's basically like how we like behave to survive, okay? Can I get food? How am I gonna attract a mate? There's this complexity to it. So animals have a focus of adequacy and completion akin to minerals. And they have the sensitivities that are plant-like, but they're more about the kind of behavioral complexes, like, is that guy bigger than me? I'm bigger than this guy, but this guy is smaller than me. What's this how's this person going to like dominate me, right? Is he the leader and I have to be submissive? And there are words too that are, you know, really this Sangram schema, this book that some of you have and maybe some of you don't, you know, the animal words listed in here, animals, issues of survival, victim versus aggressor. You know, recently I was walking with my mom down a trail and she was just like, your dad, I just have to let him be the leader and so that I'll be submissive. And I'm like, oh my God, like, and I just muscle tested her for sheep, right? And she was just like, okay, just be a follower, mom. Like, it's okay. You can be a sheep, you know? Predator versus prey. I hate, you know, oh, an interesting thing with the animals, within humans, I don't think this is how animals themselves feel. I think on a human level, we feel split with our animal self. So there's a side of us that's like how we should be, and then there's the side of us that's our animal self. And then we have this, like, we kind of attack our animal selves or we try to suppress it, you know? So it's like, that's disgusting. How much do people try and get rid of their body hair, right? That's like, we're trying to like anally get rid of our animal self, like plucking and like lasering out all of our like animal sides, right? This attractiveness, connection to our source. I've, you know, almost all the Brazilian people that I've worked with have this animal side. Like there's these like, or, you know, you can see certain cultures more connected to the animal kingdom. And some cultures are not. Like Europe, like when Scholten came and spoke, he is like, Europeans don't need animal remedies as much. They're very mineral. They're like all about like, you know, structure and rules and like how you fit in and making systems work. And places where there's, you know, Indonesia, you know, where my mom is from, it's just so animal. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, the animal kingdom survives by fight or flight or play dead. Absolutely, playing dead. That's interesting, Judy. Fight or flight. So fight or flight, dilated pupils, adrenaline running, really useful remedies to go along with animal remedies in a complementary way are belladonna, stramonium, and hyos. Like I very often am giving, you know, belladonna plus an animal remedy, you know, apis and belladonna together to bring that inflammation down. So absolutely, you know, aconite. Aconite, I see most bird remedies get into this aconite place where their heart is just like birds, aconite, you know, it's just really, for sure, you know, probably all the reptile remedies always do well with stramonium. Life or death, black or white, you know, nightmarish, you know, fears. Um, the Joshis talk about the animals as primarily attacking animals or in defense. Um, very predator versus prey. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that today. I was like, you know, I was like, are we either predator or prey? And I was thinking about the animal kingdom. It's like most animals are both predator and prey, right? They're always preying, even if you're just eating a worm. A bizarre and interesting relationship I have seen in treating some animal cases. Sometimes I've seen the predator and prey relationship meet. So I'll share this with you the next animals class, but it was a case where I gave lacphalinum and then the kid switched into needing mouse. Bizarre, right? But I feel like I've seen this in other times, you know, where I've seen birds and fish. I've seen a case where like a bird then needed a fish or a mollusk remedy and then go back to a bird, like seagull, mollusk, you know? So there can be a sort, it's almost like there's like that relationship exists in nature too, for a reason, right? Um, so yeah. Me and them. Okay, so the animal archetype covers a wider complex. That's what they're describing. I like to call it the gestalt. Gestalt meaning the overall, if you were to like if you were to like watch a shadow of somebody move, like the shadow of somebody's behavior, you know, and just watched like the general energy of them, like what's coming across them. This does not mean that minerals and plants help partially or superficially. At times or for many years, the patterns that we need healed have a single focus and need only a single mineral or a single plant. It doesn't mean that animal remedies are necessarily deeper because it just depends on what's needed. If for me, say I'm arsenicum, and my main thing is I'm fearing that I'm going to lose my job and lose all my money, and that both my parents were that way, and I was raised with that fear, and it's like dominating my how I make all my decisions, then arsenicum may be the most important remedy for me to take for a long period of time until I can clear that pattern out. Um, so, you know, it's variable. I've seen kids, you know, need spider remedies for a really long period of time as well, or a plant remedy for a long period of time. But, you know, when I'm intuiting and I'm muscle testing and I know there's lots of layers to take away, sometimes I'm trying to just kind of push back that layer quickly and give the remedy more so I can just kind of really try to get this child to be as free as possible. So these are just some of the things that I wrote in the Book of Life. The animal remedies I see when there's large quirky behavior patterns. Sometimes kids have these stems that seem like an animal. The bird remedies can have like a claw, like a little claw hand. Or the reptile remedies literally can move like this. Instead of moving straight forward, they move back and forth. They don't walk straight to you. They walk this way, and then they walk this way. Or one time I went to a child's house who, she like came up to me like this, and then she just fearlessly got him out. She was very, very autistic, nonverbal, sat on my lap. She was like 11 and weighed possibly more than I did. Very big girl. And she wrapped her thighs around me. And I was like, the mom was like, and I was just like, I was trying to get to know this child, and I'm sitting on the bed. She has her legs wrapped around me, and she's heavy and big, and just pushed herself into me. And I was like, this is interesting and odd. I gave her boa constrictor, which ended up bringing on fevers, which the mom freaked out about, you know, and couldn't handle. I mean, it was just like, it was great. It was a great remedy, but the mom wasn't ready for it. Okay, the mom was not ready for the fevers, not ready for the immune reactions. And you know that happens. No wonder I do just Skype now. I know. Yeah, I mean it's so cool. I love meeting kids in person, but you know, the beginning of my practice, I saw 2 new cases a day. It was exhausting, and I'm still in recovery mode years later. And this is why I'm teaching you, so you'll do it. But it's so cool. You know, special needs kids are really interesting because what they're expressing out of their body isn't from this executive part of the brain that's saying be human. It could be the parasite, could be the strep, it could be an animal, it could be anything from nature, you know, and that's kind of what makes these kids unique and why you need to be intuitive, because they're not going to tell you that. You have to pick up on the essence of it. Plants I talked about can be pain, heaviness, lightness, twisting, sensitivity. We'll get into the plants later. Minerals, it's very much about, you know, what's my identity? It's very ego oriented. The animals, it's less about ego. And what does ego even mean when I say that? It means it's like what the perception of how I'm supposed to be in life. Okay, so the Europeans, right? So the Dutch people, Jan Scholten's group, who needed all these minerals, they're like creating their life as it's meant to be as a human, you know, and like performing in life in their cities in a very structured, you know, how it's supposed to be kind of play by the rules way. The animals, screw the rules. Like, I want to have fun. Like, I'm going to kick this wall down. Why do countries, you know, that are ruled by the animal remedies, they're not very, you know, law enforcement bound, right? Law enforcement's like out the window because even the people who are upholding the law, they're in it for their lives. Think of Mexico, right? They're in it for their lives, for their survival, so that they need to get a little bribe. You know, it's not about the rules, it's about survival. Does that make sense? I think that's also when we go to these countries, we feel more alive. You're just like, oh yeah, you know, I'm in Mexico. Let's like, you know, drink a little tequila and like get busy. So it's just, it's a different vibe, right? In these countries, in these places. That's not to say that, you know, our average everyday, I think we all have it. It's just how loud it's playing. You know, it's like the cat's playing in me for sure, but it's how loud is it playing? You know, I have a little bit, there's a little bit of reptile in me. How loud is that playing? You know? Um, so when I'm trying to um, find a remedy from when I'm working with these kids, some of the things that I've noticed in how they in the cases where, you know, an animal remedy is needed is what I've already talked about. The kid acts out an animal. You know, they're really into it. It could be an obsession that's prolonged. It doesn't have to be this, but for sure. You know, if you're like, no way, look at the materia medica of that remedy. I didn't put this in your notes yet, but there may even be interactions with this animal. This isn't in all cases, but like I've given cases of dolphin where that kid would like go into like the ocean and dolphins would come up to them, right? It was like they had a thing with them. My daughter, who I've talked about, you know, with the cat, she's had 2 stray cats come to us, you know. Um, um, I have a friend, my daughter's friend's mom. She's like, the funniest thing happened when I got pregnant, literally when I conceived. An owl sat outside our window and looked in our window for like about 6 or 8 hours and didn't move. And we were just watching this owl, and it was the strangest thing. And I'm like, oh, of course. Like, the father is a music composer, famous. He like has composed for movies you guys have watched. That's it. A bird thing is music composition, right? And so it's just such a cool thing. So it's like, I don't know, you know, in from a shamanic point of view, you know, the Aboriginals or the Native Americans, they were very excited about animals because they signified something, right? They like, you know, when you saw an animal, it meant something, like it was a sign. So like a lot of us, we get that, right? We get that there's a sign. I remember like somebody I was working with, you know, a falcon flew into his house and he was just like, oh my God, could I need this remedy? He got that remedy. It just ended up being like the most beautiful thing. Another family I was working with, this huge moth, this was like in Ecuador, or like Peru or something, a huge, beautiful moth just like died and fell in front of them, like landed in there, like right in front of them. She was like, what does this mean? And I'm like, I don't know, but let's look at it. Let's look at like, what's the materia medica of this remedy? The butterflies in the, you know, in homeopathy, they mean saving lost children, saving wounded children. And so maybe there's something there for you with that. So Have you had interactions with an animal that felt significant to you? You know, I was at a music festival once and had the craziest kind of awakening Kundalini experience. And I saw this massive black snake, like in the crook of a tree, despite the fact that there were like tons of people around. There's this massive black snake. And I'm just like, weird. That's weird. Right? So, um, um, yeah, yeah. And we'll talk about, you know, the homie the when you look at like I think it's called animal speak, like shamanic books, like what you look up, what's the significance of an animal? Usually they will give you all these positive explanations. Oh, you know, a bear means, you know, you're going to have, you know, need protect or something, you know, that's on the more I don't know, like fluffier side. The provings I love, the homeopathic provings to me feel like more fleshed out. They're shamanic in nature, but they're more of a fleshed out understanding of the animal. You get that, you know, that there's a side of the animal that it hates itself, you know, and we'll get into this with like domestic animals. Domestic animals, they lose a part of their true nature. They're suppressing a part of themselves, right? So, my daughter had this amazing moment where a tulip tree moth landed on her hand and laid its eggs on her hand. I know, that's so sweet. I'm just thinking about that. My somebody came to my wedding and released a bunch of butterflies, and I'm thinking about how Brian and I, our wedding is so, or our relationship is so much about homeopathy for kids and saving kids. So, anyways, do you guys have any other cool animal stories? Maybe people in Florida have them more than people in like Iowa. But even so, even in Iowa, the cows, you know, that's important. That plays a role. My two big cow remedy cases were in, where are they? In Iowa and in like Norway. Okay. A picture or a vision of an animal could come to you. So when we, um, the first retreat that I did, I did a retreat with Tammy Duncan in Sedona, and she brought this girl named Lyrica in. She's autistic, but wrote on a letterboard, and her writing on the letterboard was always these very beautiful, philosophical, inspiring statements, right? And her mother wanted me to prescribe a remedy. And so I'm watching this girl move, Lyrica, and there's probably videos of her online. I might be able to find one. But she like kind of shuffles into the room and she's kind of like dragging a part of her. And she kind of just like slumps down and then like sits like kind of with her legs kind of like one sticking out and one sticking in. And she's just kind of like with her lower jaw out and just kind of like doing this and like looking around the room, you know. And she was pretty severely autistic. She had this like really low hairline, and she had a lot of seizures. And I was with another homeopath at the time, and I was like, what remedy am I gonna give to her? Like, I feel like, you know, we should give her something. Both of us, the other homeopath and myself, we closed our eyes and we both had visions of an animal. She had actually had a dream. That night, I had closed my eyes and I saw the vision of a human face merge into an ape face and then back again. It was almost like the human evolution going like, ape, human, ape, human. It was like so intense and weird. This girl at the time, she clutched onto me with her hands and just like weaned in and like just like I was pregnant at the time and it's like she didn't let go of me. I was like, oh my God, like she just like, I got the deepest download from her. And we gave her the remedy. I ended up speaking with this other homeopath and we had the same vision, and I ended up giving her the remedy from gorilla, but the vision popped into my head. The gestalt and movement of her, the way that she just kind of plopped down and sat there, just reminded me of when you watch gorillas at the zoo. Her response to it was challenging because she had so many seizures and was on so many meds that I can't tell you what the response was because I didn't have a good follow-up. I've seen moms come to me who need animal remedies, and this is, adults in general, and they are really active and animated, and and they've got their like earrings, they've got their like super, this is like a animal print earrings, and their animal print, look, like right now I've got like animal on my shirt. Sometimes people, this is a bird, sometimes people really want to embody that animal in some way. Feathers on their earrings, animal prints. There's something to that. The funny thing is, sometimes with these moms, like I'll be like, close your eyes so we can do a meditation. And they don't want to close their eyes. They don't want to like relax with me. They're really like in the moment, animated, present. I see you nodding, Sarah. Do you agree with this? Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Right. Yeah.
I can't necessarily get them to go deep. They're already kind of speaking from source. They're already speaking from their subconscious, right? Sometimes when I need to get someone to meditate, I need to get them to get past their thoughts and get past the part of them that's trying to be human and project who I am. I'm trying to get them to kind of go into that deeper part of them. But sometimes the animal remedy people, they're already there, Let's read this. My daughter is obsessed with our neighbor's dogs. Our neighbor lets my daughter walk her dogs from time to time. My daughter does not understand why she can't see the dogs all the time. I'm thinking lac caninum. Lac caninum, we'll get to that, very similar to Staphylos aureus. Okay, very kind of suppressed, low sense of self-esteem. When the mama orca's baby died and she pushed her through the water for 40 days, she came through and had my students connect her. She channeled major messages to each of us about deep nurturance and love. Whale tears came up. Yeah, I'd love to talk. There's so many, I love connecting with animal energy. The lessons and the beauty that can come through with each animal. I'm almost like, we're talking about large groups of animals in each class, but I'd love to just spend an hour talking to you about the whales, for example. There's such a depth with the whales. They are like the soul animal of the ocean, there's this proving I have of the whales where they are really, it's just the depth of emotion and feeling, and it's all hidden inside. And when you feel from your heart and you feel intuitively into these cases, it's like I have a case of whale that I treated this past year, and it was a kid who is kind of disregarded. He's autistic, he stims, he's off to himself. People don't pay him too much attention because he's been pigeonholed and categorized, right? He's not like, nobody's expecting much from him. I have to tell the mom, you've got to stop treating him like he's handicapped. You got to stop doing everything for him. He's capable. But when I felt this kid with my heart, the amount of love, emotion, depth, and pain that this child felt on an emotional level, like that, Mallory, was like, it was like an ocean of emotion. Like this kid had experienced, and it got to the point where I was like, wow, this kid is really intense. And that level of understanding was so needed for him. I gave him the remedy from whale, and he did really good. And he's doing much better. The mom's doing great too. But it got to the point where I was like, you've got to do an astrology reading for this kid because he's got so much going on. And she did. And it was just like the depth of what the astrologer came up. It was incredible. Anyways, Strange, rare, and peculiar fears and behaviors. Okay, so we've already talked about obsession with an animal, but there could be like, obsession with something unique. Like, I've seen so many kids who need insect remedies obsessed with certain shapes. What does an insect do in the world? They fly around looking for certain shapes, right? They're looking for. I've also seen a kid who needed the turtle remedy, very obsessed with triangles. That's not an approving of the remedy. You have to like figure it out yourself. And so it's like sometimes with certain kids, you have to like play detective, and you're like, man. Once I gave a kid, there was a kid who needed um, a bird, a remedy from a bird that would freak out when he saw his mom dressed in polka dots. The mom dressed in polka dots didn't lead me to giving the bird remedy. Other things lent me to give the bird remedy. But I thought of this fear of polka dots as a very strange, rare, and peculiar thing. And maybe it's something about that bird. Maybe birds have polka dots. I don't know. It was just a strange thing. But it's a certain thing. Certain repetitive behaviors are interesting too. I'm thinking when I was pregnant with Eva, when I conceived, I told you this story about my friend with the owl. A seal stared me down on the beach for a good 5 minutes. It was the weirdest thing. I was by myself. This was Santa Monica Beach, but kind of up the beach. This seal spent like 10 minutes rolling down the beach towards me, gets about 5 feet in front of me, and just like looks at me with those black eyes. I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. I can't believe this seal is just staring me down. And then a tourist came up and took a picture, and it went back in the water. But I was like, yeah, this is so weird. What does that mean? My daughter rolls around like that all the time. There's a part of me that's like, what if I could give her the seal remedy? I haven't even searched. I'm like, Brian, I thought about seal for her, but I'm not even going to look for seal milk. There's no proving of seal. But who knows? It's like, some of you have done paper remedies of, different animals out there. So, if we go to a pet store, the lizards try to get close to my daughter, especially chameleons. Yeah, interesting. Let it tell you something. We had a porcupine. I was at a birthday party yesterday for Eva, and the girl's bedroom was all purple with a huge tank of reptiles in it. And I was like, oh my God, reptile remedy. We had a porcupine that kept coming right up near our back door. A porcupine. I love that, Susan. The kind of the shyness of the porcupine, but I could get you if I want to, but that like kind of sweetness, I feel like that has something for you there. That's cute. Do any of you who know Susan see that for Susan a little bit? So anyways, I'm looking at Sue right now. A couple of you I've given cat remedy for your kids. I have to say, I have seen the kids with the cat remedies, the biggest eyes, full of eyelashes. I mean, my daughter who needs the cat remedy has so many eyelashes that they constantly just get stuck inside of her eyes. And they're just like these big, gorgeous round eyes. So not that you have to look for the look of an animal in a child, because clearly the child I gave dinosaur to did not look like a dinosaur to me. But there might be something that triggers you. Yes, she did. Okay. So the sensation process, or the Joshi method, proactive questioning, we've talked about that with case taking, where I'm like, what is, you just keep asking the questions over and over. So if somebody says, I'm afraid, tell me about afraid. What does it feel like? It feels like, the forest. Tell me about the forest. What's the forest like? The forest is dark. Tell me about dark. What is dark like? The dark is scary. What is scary? You know, a snake is scary. Oh, tell me about a scary snake. And you just kind of repeat people's words back to them. This is simple. You guys can all do this. And in fact, I might have you guys do that with each other. Animal remedies can actually be really useful for physiologic things. Okay, so clearly the milks have hormones in them, right? Because that's what a milk is. It's a hormonal substance. It's a nutritive substance. So they can really help with periods, breast issues. Also, milks have immunoglobulins, so immunity, issues of immunity. Venoms, what do venoms do? They toxify the blood, you know. So it has to do with sepsis, blood infection, blood issues, blood pressure issues. The case that I shared with you up above was all about rage, blood pressure. It was very snake. Spiders. What does a spider do? It's a neurologic thing, and a spider bites cause necrosis and degeneration and stuff, but also neurological issues. When a spider attacks, it attacks with a neurotoxin. Okay. Insects, histamine issues, flare, and puffy, and itchy, and often also urinary tract issues. For some reason, when I see a lot of people who need insect remedies, they often have like UTIs. And UTIs have a connection to histamine, right? You guys probably know that better than I do. Mollusks. Mollusks can have often issues of like the shell and the mineral and the skin. So thyroid disorders, because it has to do with kind of mineralization. Skin diseases. Yes, histamines, UTIs. Thanks. Because higher histamine means like more like frequency to pee. Birds. Birds are a little challenging. It's like often issues, I didn't write this here, but of incarnation, coming into the body, like being on earth, which is kind of a spiritual issue, but it becomes physiologic in the fact that people who need bird remedies have a tough time doing bodily things. I have a friend who needed a bird remedy who literally, you know, was a 20-year-old guy who felt very uncomfortable just having sex. He felt like it was wrong. So it just, you know, it's like issues of incarnation, getting grounded. Birds can have lots of kind of sharp stabbing pains between the shoulder blades. Yeah. Oh, the relation with high histamines can mean an irritable bladder. You know what I mean? So, and so a lot of people with high allergies, you know, drink a lot and pee a lot. So there's that relationship too. So what I love to do is do a guided meditation for you guys that allows you to connect to your subconscious and your animal self. And then I just want to kind of unmute some of yours and just have you say your name, say where you're from, and any animal that you has kind of shown up in your life or that came to you in this guided meditation. Okay, so set aside your notes. And I want to start the meditation actually with closing our eyes, taking a deep breath in and coming into our heart. And as if we're meeting somebody for the first time, I want to imagine that we are introducing ourselves to the animal kingdom. Like we're saying, hello, animals. And we're requesting together as a group like we're initiating ourselves into understanding the animals. So hello, animals. We would like in our hearts and in our souls to understand you better, to connect with you, to see the world through your eyes. To connect more deeply to nature and loving nature through connecting with you. And as we request that, I want you to imagine receiving an answer, which is a door opening. There's a door opening, and the door says Animal Kingdom. And we are walking through into the animal kingdom. So keeping your eyes closed and taking a deep breath in, I want you to imagine we're walking into the animal kingdom. And as we're walking into a forest. And the forest, it's at night. So it's nighttime, it's dark, and you're walking into the forest. And you're walking into the forest of the animal kingdom. And it's at nighttime because nighttime is scarier. So there's a part of you that feels a heightened sense of fear because you can't see everything. And so your adrenaline goes up, and closing your eyes, you're picturing this, your adrenaline is going up, and your senses become more turned on. You're listening for every sound, and you hear little snaps and twigs. You can hear the sound of your feet walking. And there's your vision is you're peering into the forest, trying to make out your steps and trying to make out if there's anything around you, and there could be something behind you. And in fact, you think there is. In fact, you hear something crunch behind you and you just bolt. And your heart is pounding and you're scared. And you get down on your hands and knees and you decide you need to hide. And you smell the dirt and you look for a place to hide. And you're so scared there's something behind you. And you find a place to hide. Picture it. Where do you hide? What do you want to do? What's your instinct? And so you've hidden and you peer out and you see there is something that was behind you. What do you see? It wanted to get you. What does it look like? How big is it? How's it moving? And how do you feel when you see it? And I want you to take a deep breath in and out because the danger is past and you're hiding and it hasn't seen you. And you need to sleep, you need to rest, and you rest. And then it's morning and you get out of your hiding place, you brush yourself off. And you sit and you take a rest and you're sitting in nature and another little animal comes up to you. And this one wants to help you. This one is just watching you. It's telling you something. What do you see? And you take a deep breath in and out. And you slowly make your way back through the forest. And the door to the animal kingdom, kind of like the Chronicles of Narnia, is still there. And you walk back through it. You walk back to your home. And I want you to think about your significant other, your mate. The energy that you share between you and your mate. What does it feel like between you and your mate? Do you feel mated for life? What do you do to attract your mate? What turns your mate on? And perhaps this is making you all laugh, or it's beyond all of you if it is. But just thinking about that. And taking another deep breath in and out. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. All right. So, so I had you kind of do that because those were kind of some animal instinctual places, you know, like our energy with our mate, sexuality, fear. I could have said hunger, but I didn't. So I'm going to just go down the line, all right? And I'm going to have you guys just tell me what kind of came up. Okay, Sue, introduce yourself, where you're from, what came up.
Um, Hi, I'm Sue, and I'm from Pennsylvania, basically in Amish country. And what came up was a bear
Uh-huh.
and an owl.
An owl. Like the bear was the scary one and the owl was there too.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, cool. Well, work with that. The owl might come to you more than once. Okay. All right. Bridget. Let me unmute you. Oops.
Okay. Is that working?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi. Yeah, so I'm in Menlo Park, California, which is like South San Francisco Bay Area. And mine was a bear too. And then the second part, my daughter ran in here and I was dealing with that. So I missed the second part of it. But I was feeling very uncomfortable with it because I'm like really uncomfortable with animal stuff and animals in general. I was like, you said to be in a forest at night. I'm like, I would never be in a forest at night. And you said the only thing I think of to hide was a car. I needed some like human thing. I was like, underground, no. Up a tree, no. I'm not comfortable with any of that. No, no, no. It needs to be like a human thing. I need a human thing to get to. So,
I love that. And you know, I feel like a part of our very like educated, you know, part of our education, the whole educational system in a way, is to get us to kind of rise above the animal side of us. To be intellectual means to not be animal. And I think to heal ourselves and also to heal the planet kind of means like really starting to connect to that side of ourselves more. So anyways, thanks, Bridget.
thanks.
Okay. I'm putting you on, Sarah.
So it was a T-Rex, but it was kind of a baby T-Rex, the first one. So it was kind of scary, but not entirely scary. And I feel like, because we were talking about T-Rexes before, and it relates to one of my kids actually quite well. And then I was hiding in the tree, like a log. And then I came out and there was this little blue bird that had a really kind of cartoony face. And interestingly, then when I walked out of and we were talking about your life partner, my husband is very much a raptor. He's very much a peregrine falcon, which he has responded really well to. And I was kind of like sitting between that little blue bird and how I live with the peregrine falcon.
I might have you share a little bit on that remedy, because when your mate does well with a certain remedy, you understand it better than any other remedy out there, you know? And so my husband, I will share with you, because you guys all know Ryan to some extent, is like a mollusk. It's so funny. His mother ate oysters through her whole pregnancy. Who does that? But she did. And lived like on the coast in Olympia, Washington. And if you guys, once you understand the mollusks, and if you were to know Ryan, he fits that. So anyways, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Carrie?
Hi. Yeah, so the first thing I got from the animal that was behind me was a beaver, which is odd because why would I be scared of a beaver? But that's what I got.
Perfect.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
And
it's cool. You know, it's interesting because who knows? Maybe there is, I think, a remedy from the beaver gland.
okay, I'll look into that. And my helpful animal was a deer. And when you said to hide yourself, I got right down on the ground on my belly and like covered myself in leaves, which is funny because I'm on dendroapsis right now, actually. So I'm
Oh,
like, oh my gosh, that's so perfect.
yes. And dendroapsis is a snake. So interesting.
Yeah, it was very much was what happened. Yeah.
Good. And you're in New Jersey.
I'm in Jersey, right? I didn't say that. I'm in central New Jersey near Princeton.
And you're also a practitioner. I just wanted to say Sarah's in Australia and she's a homeopath. And you're practicing as well with doing some energy work.
Yes, yes. A little bit of interwise, a little bit of a few things, and now incorporating remedies too.
Okay, good. Love it, love it. And I just want to put that out there because you could be available to other people in New Jersey. So, okay. Thanks, Carrie. Great. Let's see. Susan.
Hello. So I'm from Western Canada, and I didn't really see what it was. I sort of felt maybe bear. I guess when we do hikes in the mountains and stuff, we have to worry about bears. Maybe is why I thought bear. I felt like it was like a really old forest and there was trees lying down and I was trying to hide sort of at the roots of one of the trees that had fallen. And for the helpful animal, I saw a little skunk. I don't know why.
I love that you saw the porcupine is the one that kind of came up to you too. Right?
Yeah, my house.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Skunk and porcupine, I kind of categorize a little similarly, right? They both are kind of waddling, but they have their unique defense mechanism. I would really look into that. I mean, I would love in this class, if we really connect to a certain animal, try and find it. And, you know, if you were to take the remedy to see, you know, well, maybe something would come up for you. On some level, some of us have taken remedies intentionally, you know, as like just a paper remedy, like you're intentioning that animal for yourself. So that would be possible to do if we weren't able to find porcupine.
Well, I did get, I think that one from you guys.
Oh, you did?
Sphingerus, I think it's called.
Oh, gee.
I have tried it, yeah.
And did anything come from it?
Well, I mean, it feels good, but I don't know if it did
Felt
anything
a lift.
specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, that can happen sometimes, you know, if it's kind of like you're taking it and it's on some sort of behavioral thing, like you're not necessarily always recognizing the shift that it is bringing about. Sometimes it's just a confidence thing, like it connects you to your source. So you're just literally feeling a bit more confident in yourself. One time I did the sensation process for a woman and she saw a snake, but it wasn't like an aggressive snake. And I gave her grass snake, like the little tiny grass snake. And she actually stood up for herself. She was so much more confident. She stood up to her boss and her ex-husband and started dating. So it put her in touch with that, you know, so it's like a subtle connection. It's a subtle piece of confidence. So maybe that's what happened. Thank you, Susan. Right. Let's see who else is here. Zoe. Hi.
Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm from California, Central Coast, hour north of Santa Barbara. And I was like, I wrote it in there because you didn't know you're gonna ask everybody. I was like I was the centipede, and I was like hiding in a log, a redwood log, and I wasn't scared of the forest. I think it's like go camping so much. And then like I didn't know what animal was coming towards me, but I was a centipede, so I was like gonna get the animal coming towards me.
That's so amazing. Very cool. There's a remedy from the centipede that's an amazing remedy that I've never given before.
I looked it up. Is it the scolopendra?
Scolopendra. Yes, because
Yeah,
the centipede is quite toxic.
I actually have like really bad earache right now, and I've taken a bunch of stuff, and I'm seeing it's like swelling, pain, inflammation. Like maybe I'll just make myself a paper remedy just for fun to see if it helps, because I have like really severe pain.
Oh, wow. Which side?
Left. And I always get left, but this is really quite severe. Like I haven't been able to kick it.
Interesting. Well, that'd be a really, really nice case for me to take. But maybe we'll get back to you just because it's an acute. You do really well with kind of clearing acutes and stuff in the past, but I would like to help you just see. So let's move on and we'll see.
Okay.
Okay, but that's interesting, and we do have that remedy, and I'd love to know if anything comes up for you. Yeah, I mean, to me, that like ability to like not feel like I was gonna be attacked, but you know, put my like instead of like cowering, like kind of attacking first. That's an interesting defense mechanism too, and one to, you know, be aware of. I would be aware of it if I was put in a cage with you.
I mean, I think it's to me because like I did a meditation just the other day and I saw a snake, and I let Bridget know this whole thing about when I went to that resident school, and he like gave me Lacasis, and like I took it, but then like I've never been able to take it since because I had such bad feelings about it. But I'm like, we are definitely reptile in this family and we need it. So I actually did take it.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that I saw myself as a centipede and I was like the attacker is very fitting.
Yeah, it fits the reptile too. Now, I want to demystify the reptile family because we'll get to that. But, you know, there shouldn't be any judgment with these remedies. I think it's really important for us to just say that we're all of them, right? Like, you know, after I gave birth to Eva, I could not stop dreaming about alligators. I had multiple dreams where I was swimming with alligators. That's a reptile remedy that I take. It just puts me into that part of me that's like really able to be strong and stand up for myself. And I don't know what the proving is for it, but I looked up the shamanic, and it was like, it was initiation into motherhood was the shamanic part of alligator. And I was like, oh my God. But anyways, yeah, there shouldn't be judgment. You know, it's like, I think the reptiles get judged the most, but they're also the most powerful, you know, and so thank you, Zoe. It's good to see you. It's been a while. All right. Okay, Heather.
Yeah, so I'm Heather. I'm in North Carolina. I think with the meditation, what was really interesting for me wasn't the animals I saw, but was my reaction to them. When I started running, I wanted to hit the ground and all did like slither and hide. And then I saw a bear and I just wanted to laugh at it. Like I was laughing at this thing. I was even scared of it. Like it was not even a danger to me. And then a little bird came to help me, and all I thought was, I want to smash you and just, oh, I could just destroy you. I want you just gone. How dare you flit to help me? And I was just waiting to just destroy it. Yeah, so that was.
I love it. I love it. You know, like, what I love is that you can be really honest and just say that. And same, you know, Zoe, you guys should talk. It's awesome, you know, and it's just, we all have, you know, you're a survivor beyond survivor. Like you know, I know some of your past, but right, you've got fight in you like there's nobody else is it okay if I kind of share that?
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're like an actual martial arts, like intense, like fighter, right? And so that kind of goes along with reptile as well. You know, it doesn't have to. There's other remedies that have that, but it's badass. So, anyways, oh, oh no. Okay. All right. Let's see. Wendy, some of you, I'm not seeing the video, so I'm not clicking on you. But if you aren't showing video and you want to share, just say so. Okay. Wendy, good to see you.
Hi. Can you see me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm Wendy and I'm from Gardner, Kansas. And what I saw in the forest was a bee. A bee was chasing me. And you think of a little tiny thing and just chasing you in the forest. I mean, everybody's seeing like a bear or something big. This was small. And then when I went into the cave, I just felt protected. And then the animal that was there to help me was a mouse. So like a cute little mouse with a little pink nose and, you know, whiskers going like this. So I don't know. It was weird because there was a small bee and then a small little mouse, but they were like small and significant. So
Right. I love that. And it's like you guys all have such unique experiences, and it's really like useful and amazing to see the variety. You're just, if you don't mind, Wendy, your voice is very bright. There's like a brightness to your voice. Do you guys hear that? Like how it's kind of light and bright? This is something I have noticed in the people who need remedies from insects. Not to say that is, but it is just something like whenever I've worked with people, it's not maybe all, but there's just something where there's a brightness and a clarity and like I don't know, it's just it comes through. You can like hear there's a clarity in your voice. If I were to like have any other I hope that doesn't put you on the spot, but
no,
to note
that's great. When you think of an insect, they're kind of light, you know, like a bee, you know, kind of light like that. So
right.
That makes sense.
Awesome. Thank you for
You're welcome.
sharing. Okay. All right. Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate. I actually also live in Kansas. I live in Newton, Kansas, which is above Wichita a little bit. And I saw a bear as the scary thing, which didn't surprise me because anytime, you know, growing up in Kansas, we would go to Colorado a couple times a year and go hiking. I feel like I was always terrified of bears when we went there. Like anytime I'm in a forest, I feel like I'm just constantly looking for a bear and trying to remember not to run. But I also really felt like I really felt like I was some sort of a little, like a ferret or a pine marten, something kind of in that family. Like I could kind of tell that's what I was. I wanted to get like kind of like in the brush underneath a bush and like hide that way. And I also saw a bird, something small that was kind of like hopping around, but I wasn't sure what kind it was.
Yeah. Do you guys know like Philip Pullman and the Golden Compass, where have you guys seen the Golden Compass? It's basically this children's fantasy series where they have the kids run around and they all have this animal spirit that kind of goes alongside of them. And I kind of feel that way, you know, and yours could be a marten. There's a book called Martin Martin. I don't know if you read it, but it's about a boy who grows up with a marten. And anyways, I think we all have this like little bit of an animal spirit, you know, kind of running alongside us. And I think if we can close our eyes and step into our imagination and allow it to connect to us, you know, it's a really beautiful, soulful thing to just do, to just kind of enrich our life. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Kate. Okay. Nobody, I never took any of you guys into the ocean. So you guys, none of you like naturally came up with an ocean animal. Maybe one of you did. Okay. Flavia, hi.
Hi. So my name is Flavia. I'm originally from Brazil. I have been in the United States for over 20 years, and I live now in Florida, in Orlando. And my animal was a bear, and I was hiding in a cave, and then I was feeling stupid that I was in a cave because I said that doesn't give me any protection because the bear can just come in the cave, and I'm having all this dialogue. And I said, okay, I better just calm down. The bear is not going to come here. But I was really frightened from the bear. But I'm having all this dialogue. Why am I in the cave? But then I couldn't leave the cave. But then the bear went away. And then was the morning, and I saw this dog, and the dog came to help me. And it's funny because our family is having this whole relationship with dogs now, that we have this neighbor, this sweet neighbor. She has the sweetest dogs, and sometimes my girls take the dogs for walks. And my husband has a history of problems with dogs in the past because his mother liked the dogs better than him. So dogs were never in our, he feels like that way, but she had like just neurotic relationship with the dogs. And I was very afraid of dogs. And our neighbors have just sweet dogs. So it's just funny that the dog came to me, and I feel like it's such a presence that we have with the dogs now. It's almost like healing us, because I decided to get over my fear of dogs when I had my children, but we never got a dog, even though they wanted dogs, because we're not dog people. I have one of the phobia from the dog, who doesn't like the dogs, my husband, and me, I had fear. But now we have just sweet dogs, and they just come over to our house, and they escape. My neighbor, every time she's with the dogs, they went over, they tried to escape her to come to us. So it's just, I thought it was funny that the dog came. And
It is funny, and we have close relationships with a lot of, pets, right? And there was some sort of, I think it was like Tibetans, or there's some sort of culture that says there's like 5 animals that reincarnate into humans, and it was like cat, dog, horse, pig, and something else. And I was like, oh, that makes sense, and that's why I don't want to eat a pig. It's usually intelligent animals, but for sure, I think that it can be as simple as a dog, but lac caninum is one of the lac caninum and lachesis are possibly the most commonly polycrest given remedies for a wide variety of complaints. Dog and snake. What's funny is that the dog hates the snake. In homeopathy, there's a great fear of snakes in the dog. So they're kind of like opposite ends of the spectrum in that sense. The dog is submissive and wanting to be happy, and like losing his sense of himself, giving his power away, to make you happy. The snake's like, no way, I won't give any of my power away. And the snake is in the dog. So yeah, I think that could possibly be a good remedy for your family. And we'll talk about that. But thank you, Flavia. And am I right about Brazilians being particularly animal?
Yes. Yes. It's funny because I miss that lightness and the dance and that kind of, I miss that aspect. Yeah. And like Orlando now has been invaded by Brazilians. So everywhere you go, you find Brazilians. It's just like a preferred place for Brazilians to go. Mm-hmm. So I'm much happier here, more in my element, and I am missing that energy a little
and
bit.
I love carnival, or you see kind of tribal rites where people really, they embody the animals and they tap back into their source energy, and it's powerful. I mean, when people are doing the samba for like days on end, they have to tap into something pretty powerful. Like your average librarian here in Ashland is not going to do that. So, all right. Thank you so much, Flavia. And Flavia is, running a little side deep dive kind of spiritual meditation support group too for people who want to join that. All right. So I have some students who are new here. Haley, can you tell us about your school and where you're at?
So I am in New York City. I live in Manhattan. And I am doing my master's online through Northeastern right now. I do behavioral therapy with kids with autism. So that's kind of how I got connected to Mallory.
Oh, through Mallory. Okay, cool. I thought you were a naturopathic student. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I do behavioral therapy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So when I was doing the meditation, I also saw like a bear behind me, and I kind of hid in like a fox's den, which I thought was kind of interesting, because for a moment I kind of had the same feeling about like, oh no, I'm in a cave and the bear can just come in. But then I realized that I was in like a smaller like fox's den, which was interesting. And then I came out and I had a weasel come to help me, which I think is so weird. I actually had to like figure out what it was. I was like, is this a ferret? And then I was like, no, it's a weasel. I have no idea why that is what.
I love that. I love it when it's like, what is this? I got to figure it out. I have no idea. And that place that you're in where you're like, what is this? That curiosity like in your heart is such an important place to be when you're working with these kids. So it's like, oh, this kid's stimming. But if you sit with them and you're like looking at them, you're like, what is this? Like with that curiosity and just like close your eyes and just like what comes through, and like you might really, it's really exciting that you're kind of stepping into this. You could get a remedy and, offer it to the mom. Or I don't know how you're going to end up working with the homeopathy, but it's amazing. So that is a very important place to be, open curiosity and something unique and unusual coming through. Thank you, Haley, for joining us. Okay. Mallory.
Oh, hi. Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
Okay, cool. I saw a bear too. It was like a gigantic black bear. And I realized I was a wolf. So I could see like my little paws and the feet and everything, but I was actually like a wolf pup who was gray. And I was hiding just in like a bush, but it was a bush that you would see in somebody's landscaping. So it wasn't actually very well hidden. And then when I looked through the bush to see who I was running from, who was attacking me, it was actually another pack of wolves. I just wasn't part of that pack. It was like a separate pack. And then a white bunny rabbit showed up as like my little friend, and that was awesome. And then when you had us tune into what our relationship is like, I saw myself and my husband as like a lioness and a lion, and I was like ferociously scratching at his face. And he like pissed me off so much tonight, so I'm like, oh, that's it. And then you asked the question about like what turns your partner on, and it was exhibitionism. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, that it was like being seen in the wild. Even if I was attacking him, it didn't matter. It was the fact that it was like there was an audience. So that was very interesting too.
Oh, wow. The cats, like, because he's lioness, they and hyoscyamus and the cats can sometimes go really well together. And hyoscyamus is the remedy of exhibitionism too. So I just thought that was interesting. And wow, that would be a leap for you though.
Yeah, I'm like, not today. That's not me.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, probably, what would turn your partner on. It isn't necessarily what turns you on. And that's kind of the hard thing, because a lot of us, we don't marry the same animal as we are. It's like at my core, like I might be, like this, and Ryan's like a mollusk, and it's like what turns him, it's different. We have to kind of meld and work together in that way. it's a funny thing like that. But thank you, Mallory. All right. Joanne, see you on here. Oops. Let me unmute you. There we go.
Hi, I live in My name is Joanne. I live in Massachusetts, in southeast Massachusetts, off the coast, in island of Martha's Vineyard, in a very small town, Aquina, which is like 300 people. And I like walking in the forest at night, so it wasn't scary. It was really moonlit, and I could smell the forest. And when I heard something behind me, it was a red fox, which we don't have here, and the fox was so red. That's what I paid most attention to, was the color. And then I found a tree, and the tree had like this perfect space for me to fit myself into, and I felt like a gnomey, you know, like a gnome. Like I was just in there, protected, and that nothing could hurt me while I was in there. It was very mossy and womb. It was like a uterus, like a womb-like, you know, being in there. And when I came to come out, there was a family of deer with fawns. A mother deer and her fawns were out there. And then she just looked at me and she said, "Be alert." And that was it.
I love it. You know, to me, when you say that, I'm thinking, wow, there's probably a good plant or tree remedy that would be really suitable for you. Sometimes when we do these meditations, it's the plant. To me, that was the tree that really stood out. And so,
right.
You know, trees are so much about being, you know, halfway between heaven and earth, and grounding and being in the flow and being stable and unmoved. And it feels like that energy is just, one, it's grounding to you. It's almost grounding to me even as I speak it, you know, grounding the energy of our group. Yeah, I love it. You know, sometimes too, when we do these meditations together, there is a group energy field that's created as well. And so we all kind of, a lot of us have the bear thing. I have the bear thing too. And actually bears are an active fear of mine because I'm surrounded by many bears. I'm right backed up against the woods. Bears are knocking down my garbage all the time. And I've stopped walking in the woods because there's a bear there. So maybe that's a proving we could do. I don't know if there's a proving of bear, but I talked about, you know, I think I had emailed you guys about the possibility of us doing a group proving. The bears, like one day they like knocked over my garbage and they took out all of my pads, my garbage from the bathroom, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay. And they like, it was weird. They like opened them all over my front step and just got into like blood. And I was like, whoa, that is really intense for me. And at the time I had been doing like a womb meditation. It was very synchronistic and bizarre, but I'd love to do maybe a bear proving with you guys. So let's see, do I have anybody else? SBIM1, which I need an introduction for.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Jennifer. I'm in Santa Barbara.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And it's really interesting about the bears because I remember asking my homeopath if there are any bear remedies because I've always loved bears and I used to dream about sleeping with them when they're dead and stuff. But this time I saw like in a rainforest like a jaguar. And the jaguar was like submissive to me. It was like, go ahead, like it kind of was like, go ahead, you can like hold my leash or something. Like it had a leash. And then I melded with the jaguar, so I was like one with it. And it was like, all right, let's find something to eat. You know, we have to eat, got to kill something. And then when you said there's something behind you, it was like a hunter, like a human. And then again, there was like a feeling of submission, like, okay, I can't compete with this guy with a gun. I can't compete. I'm just going to be submissive, just going to like lay down in the bushes and what can I do? Like, I didn't like even try to run or anything. But it's interesting because I'm single right now, but I thought about my past partners and they both had big cat energy. Like they both seemed like big cat guys, and one of them even raises kittens. And the other one, I really wanted to give him lion, and they're both a little bit exhibitionist too. Like they look good and they know it, and like they're powerful men, like want to show it off kind of. So it's kind of interesting. And then
And it's interesting too how you didn't settle down with them.
no,
Because like those, you know, guys like that maybe don't settle down as much, you know. They're just out to kind of go on the prowl again.
yeah. And the animal that came to help me was like a bunny rabbit, but it didn't really do anything. It just kind of looked cute and sat there, and that was
Okay, cool. All right, thank
Yeah.
you, Sarah. And you're a naturopath.
I am. Yeah.
So any of you guys need a naturopath in California, she's studying homeopathy and she's here with us. So have I missed anyone? I have a couple of people where I'm not seeing your videos. But if you wanted to share, just type in the message box below. Otherwise, I think we're good. So what I'd like to do, and if I'm not seeing your videos and you'd like to share, please just type. What I'd like to do is in our Facebook group, and not all of you are in my Facebook group, but I'll make sure you get in. I'd love to just put in kind of cases and provings and play with this. How do you guys feel about doing a proving? I think I would love to find the remedy from the bear and send it to a bunch of you. And maybe we can choose another remedy. And we can, okay, somebody says yes. You can take it, you can put it under your pillow. We can kind of all experience it together. I could do it either blind, where I send you like 3 remedies and I don't tell you which is which, or we can do it so you know what it is and we can all just share the experiences we have. Judy was a giraffe. Okay, thank you. Yeah, all right. So I'll like put that idea of the proving project up in our Facebook group, and then maybe have an email and make sure that I know who to send it to. You think we should do it blind? Yeah, blind is fun. I just want you guys to know, so if I choose like 3 remedies, I'll just say like animal 1, animal 2, animal 3, but you're gonna know that it's either the bear or an insect, or like maybe we do bear, butterfly, and bunny or something like that. Yeah, and see what comes up for you guys. So. All right, I don't want to take you guys too much over. It's already getting pretty late, but thank you so much. I think it was a really good class. This is going to be super fun. And I'm going to be posting up like animal videos in our Facebook group and really keep it like an awesome, fun class. Thank you guys. So let me stop the recording, and we're going to be meeting in 2 weeks. Okay, and so please share online, and if you have any experiences taking animal remedies that are interesting, just post them. Okay, lots of love to you guys. Bye bye.